Bernard, the Ministry of Gender has to take bold steps. Kids and their mothers on the streets right in front of the international airport begging for alms at the same time littering the streets. It looks disgraceful as authorities are not paying attention to them. Most of these children, I learn, have been trafficked to Ghana for the alms begging business. I would be glad if the social welfare, police, and child rights agencies pay attention to this manage. This is from a listener, emphasizing the point you made.
Yeah, and I heard from my good friend at the Daily Graphic who has done some good work on this, Timothy Nyangbe. And let me just read a paragraph, which is a quotation from the Chief Director of the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection. I don't know if she still is, Dr. Afisa Zakaria. Because Timothy did a feature on this particular problem.
Don't forget also that Hafiz Tijani, Ashanti Regional reporter, did a feature on this in Kumasi. And the Nigerian consulate actually intervened to repatriate some of those kids back to Niger.
Similar here.
According to Hafiz, after that story was done, they moved in and moved their children. But it looks like they've come back.
Yeah. So let me give
you. So it's also happening in Kumasi.
Yes,
it's not just an Accra
issue.
Good.
So according to the Chief Director of the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection, Dr. Afisa Zakaria, although there had been a comprehensive strategy to get all beggars and children off the street, the foreigners are particularly difficult to handle. Quote, many of them are from Niger. So our ministry has been collaborating with the Nigerian embassy to repatriate them. But it is a complicated issue because the more the embassy sends some of the people home, the more others come into the country. Now, the official in charge of migration there, Miss Abena Anobia Asari, blamed the hundreds of foreigners who are on a begging spree on the streets on irregular migration. These people are seen as irregular migrants because they use unapproved routes to enter the country, are undocumented. They do not even know their destination or are using Ghana as a transit country to their destination. Then goes on to talk about Article 2.1 of the ECOWAS Protocol, that general principles on movement of persons, residents and establishment. And it states that the community citizens have the right to enter, reside and establish in the territory of member states.
Can you repeat the last one?
The community citizens.
So this ECOWAS
community
have the
right to enter, reside, and establish in the territory of member states. Now, as to whether the establishment to engage in
do they have the right to do
illegal
begging
activity, is the issue. But my concern this morning is just a call for at least some kind of action. Let us not.
But on the basis of what Timothy has said, which is the duty bearer now? Because he's saying it seems to be.
It's the ministry.
But migration is interior.
Yes, so, but the ministry liaises. You see,
the people are not all children. They are also men and women.
No, but the begging is not done by the men and women.
It's done by the children.
It's done by the kids.
But
the adults sit in corners and supervise their parents.
By dealing with the kids, are you not dealing with the fruit and not the root? The root is that adults bring kids with them to the country through illegal routes. So if you want to stem the problem, you may take the children as an eyesore from the street. But I think the Interior Ministry, working with the Special Police Unit, liaising with Nigerian authorities, must actually stem the flow. It should not just be a gender issue, or as in the Ministry of Gender issue.
There will be a problem stemming the flow.
Why?
Because of the nature of our borders. People come in and out. But again, like I explained to you, I've been complaining about the Abossey Okai Gaskia Zongo area for 2 months now. Nobody has done a thing about it. When I started complaining, there were maybe 150. This morning, I have told you that there were almost 600 people there. So when it was a small problem, if the authorities had acted, I do not think that the people who are there would have sent love letters to their relatives back home. That, oh, this place is cool, oh. You can come and beg here and nobody will worry you. So come. Because it certainly does look like they have gotten comfortable.
In Ghana particularly.
In those areas. And have said that, oh, come. You can come and perch with me on my front lobby.
Let me ask a few. Niger is not even a direct neighbor of Ghana. If you look at the map of Ghana, we have Togo, Benin, Nigeria to the east. We have Burkina on the north. Of course, we have Mali on top of Burkina. Now, Niger is actually on top of Togo, Benin, and Nigeria. And Niger's direct neighbor is Burkina, not Ghana.
Yes.
So how are they in Ghana?
Well, for some strange reason,
Are they in other countries too? Are they? So if you go to Cotonou, will you see them? If you go to Lagos, will you see them in the same numbers that we are seeing them in Ghana?
well, it's where you decide to establish. So, for instance, I was in Gabon.
And this is not to do any xenophobia
of
against
course.
Niger. We
No,
are just
not at
trying to
all.
understand a
So
problem.
I was during my time in Gabon, I went to a market and realized that the largest community of West African countries present there are the Malians. There are a lot of Malians in Gabon.
Even though there's no direct.
Yes, so I was asking myself why.
Why are Malians in Gabon?
The market that we went to, basically 80%, and this was the largest market in the capital.
Okay.
80% of it was run by Malians, the shops.
Okay.
So it's like basically you walking through Bamako.
To be fair, I know that historically we've had a large community of Nigerians in Ghana
Yes.
because a lot
The
of them
Zarama areas.
are traders.
Yes.
And somehow we have a good relationship with Niger,
Yeah.
generally. So maybe I'm answering my own question that Nigerians and Ghanaians, I'm told that historically there are Niger communities in Ghana for a long time.
Very, very, very large group.
What I find interesting, and when Hafiz did the story, the Nigerian embassy intervened because they realized that these people were not coming to Ghana through the right route, and they were not necessarily promoting what Niger wants to promote about itself.
Yeah.
Okay. So the question is this a criminal? So are we dealing with criminality or we are dealing with humanitarian issue?
We are dealing with a social welfare issue.
Social welfare issue to involve.
No. But you see, as I always say, which is the lead problem? Because for me, even if it's an interagency collaboration, there must be a lead agency who treats this. For example, last week, about 200 people were sent back to Nigeria after a joint operation. These people were considered to be involved in
Criminals.
drug trafficking, cyber crime, human trafficking, sex trafficking, and all that.
Yes.
They were bundled together and sent back to Nigeria.
Yes.
This was an operation which was on the basis of security and crime.
Yes.
They may have brought some young girls along who were slaves, but the starting point was that there's a criminal gang involved.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is that what you're seeing is a symptom, may be a symptom of a bigger problem of some criminal gang bringing children in, or it could also just be poor, desperate people looking for somewhere to work.
It is. I can clearly state it is poor, desperate people who have moved in.
Not somebody bringing them deliberately to use them.
They come in and somebody takes advantage of them being here.
Okay.
Some of them,
Fair
not
enough.
all of them.
So it starts as humanitarian, and then somebody now says, "Let me make business from this."
Yes, because
Are you sure of this?
Bernard, I explained to you at 6 in the morning that I was somewhere where a car was dropping them off, and they were making sales in the evening after. Okay, there are those, but I think that a large portion of them also are just used to living by alms, by begging.
I really wish I could get somebody to, and I'm not doubting what you're saying. You are an academic. Find somebody who has researched this, because for me, it's very strange.
At some point, filed a lawsuit against the state on this particular matter, except that for some
Don't
reason,
know where it went.
the Supreme Court, I think, took a decision.
Caleb, Zoe has been phoning this story. Call her for me. I want to get as much information on this as I need, because for me, you see, when something becomes such a big thing all of a sudden, there's usually underlining things that we have ignored.
Yes.
To see those 500 or 600 people assembled, bathing, and getting ready to be dispatched, obviously took more than 2 months to put together.
Yes, which is why I'm saying that for me, you asked the question.
Yeah.
Is this a security problem? And I'm saying that for me, it's a social welfare problem first.
Okay.
Because there are a lot more kids than adults. Okay.
Okay.
I take cognizance of your point that, well, it is the parents who bring them. So in dealing with this, but the parents are in Ghana legally because, again, of our ECOWAS protocols. They can enter. Okay. But what you do whilst you are here is what determines whether you can stay or not.
Good point.
At the moment, they have entered and are engaged in acts that are obviously illegal. Now,
Begging is.
the tools of that act are kids.
So that's why you say,
So that's why I'm
the
saying-
starting point should be the gender and social welfare.
Yes, because if you remove the kids from the equation, the adults won't beg. The adults themselves don't want to beg. So take away the kids from the equation. Okay, and I'm making an urgent call this morning because they are contributing. One, the kids are in danger.
Yeah.
They are crossing the road by themselves. There are sanitary issues. There are environmental issues. There are health issues. They are defecating. They are malnourished. And we need them to solve that problem for us immediately.
But do they have a system that can absorb? For example, in just Obechebi, there are about 500, as you claim.
Yes.
Let's assume Kumasi.
From Gaskia all the way.
Because according to Hafiz, this is the same in Kumasi. So we could have thousands of kids.
Yes.
Do we have a facility to send them to?
You see, if they come, we don't have the facility, and you keep sending them back, it's at a cost. But at a point,
should we charge the Nigerian embassy to pay?
They will understand.
Niger is no longer part of ECOWAS currently, so they cannot.
Good. Thank you.
Oh, but we still engage. Ghana engages with them.
No,
Actually,
the protocol that
so you could actually say
we can't.
You could actually say that the Nigerian consulate should be surcharged for their repatriation.
You could say that, but I'm also saying that currently, diplomatically, all the courtesies that are extended to ECOWAS countries, Ghana does extend to the trade
Does Nigeria extend those courtesies to Niger?
Nigeria does their own thing.
But Nigeria's president is the chair of ECOWAS.
Yes.
And Niger is a neighbor of Nigeria.
Yes.
The point I'm making, you invoke the ECOWAS protocol.
Yes.
By reason of their withdrawal from the ECOWAS presently, the protocol doesn't cover.
We could use that as a legitimate leg, but the point I'm also trying to explain is our current president has made it a clear point of policy,
so he cannot
to engage with these countries on all the protocols of ECOWAS.
The president has sent sort of like made an open call for them to come back.
Yes.
Now, Sky, wait, you can't ask someone to come back to ECOWAS and then say that whilst you are not back, I'm excluding you from the privileges.
No, so
or you can say
that. You see, you cannot invoke a piece of legislation reserved for specific people.
When you
a closed group, you are out of that group, and then you are seeking to invoke that to protect you. No, I'm saying that the president may have, of course, foreign policy decisions are made by the president, except that where treaties are involved and all kinds of things are done, Parliament has to ratify them. As we speak, he's dealing with them purely on basis of international, relations and policy, diplomacy. That is allowed, but you cannot invoke the protocol, the ECOWAS protocol, as a protection for their presence here, especially when Niger is no longer part of ECOWAS.
But the 2 points. Let's also remember that this didn't start with Mahama. They've been here for a long time and they've been coming. It just becomes, it gets to a head at certain points. I don't know whether it's a seasonal issue. So what I will do is I will breathe around, and I know there are people who study this a bit closer, and I'll see if I can get more insight on it. There are many things to talk about today.
I know, but just to have 3 minutes more on this, if you allow me. The key point I want to raise on this, as a point of, and I want to make a call for action on this, is we do not, if the people know that we are not allowed in this part of an area, if we go here, we get arrested. Limit the areas available to them. You see, the same issue we have with trade hawkers, with jaywalkers, with whatever, is the same reason why we cannot deal with this situation. Because it's an open area for us. There are everywhere, you can do anything you want in any part of Accra.
Why should it be in front of the airport?
No, they are even at the Flagstaff House traffic.
Yes! Because they are there because, I explained to you again, we have allowed people to hawk there.
Guys, this is something.
If you allow hawking there, how will you stop begging?
I would have.
Do you get it? You cannot delink the two. So if we had been able to designate those areas properly and say, look, this is the CBD. You can do A, B, C, and D here. Everybody knows. Nobody in his right senses will wake up and go there, even if it is illegal, knowing that.
The point is that we've also.
Everywhere is open.
Let me talk to Hafiz Tijani briefly, because Hafiz has done a story he did a story on this, I think last year or so.
Yes.
And it did get some action. Now, I want to find out if it's the same situation. Hafiz, thanks for joining us. Good morning.
Good morning, Bernard.
So when did you do this story on the increase in predominantly Nigerian children on our streets? And what action was occasioned by your story? And also, what is the current situation now? Are they back on the streets in Kumasi too?
Okay, so this was at the latter part of 2023 when we did the story. So going into the early part of 2024. So in 2023, when we did the story, we consulted or we reached out to the consulate. They have their office in Kumasi, and we reached out to them. They brought in a representative from Accra, and they mobilized with the immigration service to put measures in place to take them back. So they brought about 3 buses and conveyed them to Accra and repatriated them. So when we did the story, the local people here, the leadership of the Nigerians saw the story, and then they reached out to us and said that they were also making some arrangement to repatriate them, but it was becoming difficult because they told us that they had some people who were bringing in these beggars with their mothers to the country to beg, and they were getting some commissions from the begging. We confronted one individual who were told was part of the syndicate, but he declined. He said he was not part of it and it was not true. But we had confirmation from the locals who are from Niger and they live in Ghana, who facilitated the repatriation effort, and they confirmed that they also have that information that people are bringing these people to Ghana to beg. But when you speak to these beggars, what they tell you is that they are fleeing hunger, they are fleeing war from their countries. That is why they have come to Ghana. And ironically, Bernard, what some of them would tell you is that Ghanaians are so hospitable. They give charity. They are sort of religious, and they give charity. So when some of them come to Ghana, they also tell their colleagues back in Niger that this business is lucrative. So they also come to the country to beg. Recently, the yet to be heard story I'm doing, I have spoken to some of them. Now they shy away from the camera. When you approach them, they will not want to speak to you, especially when you don't understand the Hausa language. So I spoke to one who told me that they pass through the border. I asked them if they are coming through the border, don't they stop them? They say some people facilitate their coming into the country, and they use unapproved routes to come into Ghana. They don't use the border. She told me that when they were coming the last time, some people who used the border, they were sent back. But they had some individuals who facilitated their entry into Ghana through these unapproved routes.
All right, so let me just get a few things. When you did the original story, end of 2023,
yes,
they were brought to Accra. Some of them were brought to Accra and repatriated to Niger. Yes. And also the Nigerian community in Kumasi reached out to you to facilitate that process.
Yes.
That's number one. Number two, you are saying that there are people who organize these people into begging groups and get commissions from their begging.
Yes.
Are these people Ghanaians or Nigerians?
These are Nigerians who have lived
here before
in Ghana for a very long time. So they do that with some Ghanaians.
So they benefit from the begging.
Yes.
Good. Now, the people who were sent back to Niger, were they sent by road or by air?
Okay, so according to the consulate, they were going to do that by air. They said they brought in an aircraft to fly them because of their numbers. So when they did that of Kumasi, they had some numbers in Accra to add up to the ones in Kumasi to send them back to Niger.
So as we speak, what's the situation with beggars in Kumasi, and do you have the same situation like you had in 2023, which led you to do the story, or it's reduced?
The numbers are coming up because when you look at major streets within the Kumasi metropolis, so you are moving from the tech runabout or the tech junction to Edum, that is the central business district. The children are flooding the street. every morning, and they don't care about the kind of dangers on the road. They approach any vehicle, they approach any person who is passing. And when you go to the Central Business District itself, you find them at some locations. When you go to places around the cultural center, you find them around. And when you go to a place like the Kumasi Central Mosque, so initially, before we even did this story in 2023, they were at the Central Mosque because most of them are Muslims. When they come, that is where they can find some space because it's a mosque. So when they come there, they believe that no one is able to take them away.
So do they sleep in the mosque? Because as you said, they believe Ghanaians are charitable and religious. So obviously because of zakat, they will be given something. So is it that they go and camp at the mosque and sleep there? Or is this a place of like a place of is it like a place they meet to them redistributed? Because in Accra as well, the Abossey Okai mosque area is where they sort of congregate at, right?
So then they used to be at the mosque, but there were concerns from the community. So when they live at a place, the sanitation situation is usually worse. Their children would do all sorts of things at the place, and they leave refuse and leave the place so unkempt. So there were some concerns from people who come to worship and people within the community around the mosque who raised concerns and told the mosque committee that these people are not helping matters. They should take them away. But they have moved outside of the mosque. They are not within the mosque itself, but they have moved outside of the mosque. They now occupy shops in the frontage of shops. So when people close from their shops, they go to sleep there till daybreak. So they sleep in the open. They are exposed to the weather.
Now let me ask your personal view. You know, a lot of them, kids are supposed to be in school. Do you not think that the communities around should be able to organize and put them in some makaranta or something? Because if kids of that age are on the streets begging, we know that in Ghana, kids of a certain age are supposed to be in school. Can the communities around where they gather, or maybe in your report, you should talk to the people in that area, maybe the mosque leaders, whether they can find a way of putting them in some sort of educational system? Because I think beyond the fact that they are causing sanitation problems, you cannot have children not in school because our law prohibits that, right?
Well, Bernard, I spoke to one man when we were doing the interview just to sample public views of what they make of the presence of these beggars. He told me that he once approached one of them and told her that since she has come here and she's begging and she's not getting, or she has come to beg, he can at least give her some job in terms of washing people's clothes and getting money. And the reply he said he got was that the begging was so lucrative than what she's going to do. And most of them do not want to involve in any work that will stress them. So they find the begging so lucrative and easy to get money. And when they come, they are able to make some money. They distribute the children. So this particular woman I spoke to, she has about 6 children. So in the morning, she distributes them to different locations. And she also has one of the children with her to go to another location. So the children are spread around Kumasi, Metropolis, most of the areas they think that they can get the money. So most of them are refusing to even cooperate with people in the community who want to help them, but they rather find this so lucrative and easy to get money.
All right, Hafiz, I'll talk to you again, and I'm happy you are doing another story on this, so please keep at it, because this is not a touch and go issue, it's a big issue. Thank you for talking to us. Hafiz Tijani, our Middle Belt Bureau Chief, Ashanti Regional Correspondent, did a story on beggars on our streets, particularly from Niger. 2023 led to some action. He says they are back on the streets. In Accra, it's all over the place. There are humanitarian issues, child's rights issues, human trafficking issues, immigration issues, all of that in a very, very sort of crazy mix-up.
If we all drive here, so we all know what it's like. You're in the car.
Even if you are walking, sometimes they come
and bang on your windows. They don't want to leave. You know,
it's become very serious.
Yeah, and it's the concerning thing is it's children. It's children. It's like why aren't they not in school?
And why are you teaching your children to beg? And put it because it's wrong.
Anywhere you pass, I pass different ways. You know,
everywhere
to avoid traffic, you have different ways you are passing to work.
Unless you don't stop at the traffic.
But you know, this is why the West Africa situation is important. So even things like Togo, you see, when countries are not well governed, and when poverty becomes prevalent, these are the things we all see. So we can't just do we have to think beyond our country.
But we must be clear that it is not only Nigerians or other West Africans who are here. There are also Ghanaians.
Oh yes,
whose kids are out there.
Yeah.
Doing what
the thing about the begging is that there are some people you don't know who's actually has an issue and who's struggling.
Yeah, you're not sure who's begging well.
I not to go too much, but there's a guy I used to see around the Holy Spirit Cathedral.
Yeah.
I was walking somewhere at Adabraka. The guy usually has a cane or something. I saw him walking freely in Adabraka, like nothing was wrong.
This guy,
the same guy,
miraculously healed. He's not working.
I saw him the next day.
He was on leave.
I saw him the next day with the cane. So,
guys, there's a very interesting text message I just received from a listener. It says, this treatism matter was taken to the Supreme Court by Child Rights International.
What did he say?
Child Rights International's argument was that the spirit of the Constitution was not for children to be involved in this kind of life, lack of school, poor health, housing, and parenting, and that the government, as a duty bearer, should be directed to act since the omission on the part of the government was unconstitutional. So basically saying, when kids are on the street, government has a responsibility to put them in school. Now, according to this text, I haven't seen the judgment. It says the Supreme Court held that they did not have the jurisdiction.
Yeah, they said
really?
the claimant or the plaintiff did not properly invoke the jurisdiction of the court. So I put a story on the platform earlier.
How?
It says, it's by the graphic, the Supreme Court dismisses child rights suit on streetism.
True.
Published by Emmanuel Bohoxon, or authored by him in March 2024, the 1st of March actually, says the Supreme Court has dismissed a suit by a non-governmental organization that sought the enforcement of the rights of street children under the Ghanaian constitution. Now, in an unanimous decision last Wednesday, a 7-member panel of the Apex Court held that Child Rights International failed to properly invoke the jurisdiction of the court to hear and determine the matter. It goes on to say the court did not read the full reasoning behind the decision, saying it was ready and could be obtained from the registry. Now, one of the judges, Justice
Gabriel
Poman, told CRI that although its grievances were genuine, the court was bereft of jurisdiction to hear the matter because its jurisdiction was not properly invoked as required by law. Now, the panel was presided over by the Chief Justice, Gertrude Tokono, Justices Paul Bafoboni, Pamang, Mariam Awusu, Avril Lovelace Johnson, Professor Mensa Bonsu, and Yoni Kulendi. Now, it goes on to provide an interview by
Bright Apia.
Exactly. He said his outfit had not given up on the fight to protect the interests of all children, including those on the streets. According to him, CRI would continue to pursue the legal action by coming properly before the court. There's a quote here directly quoted.
But it's been a year.
Yeah. It's not easy to litigate. Yeah.
Oh, Charlie. So they had wanted the government to be compelled to act.
Yeah, this whole thing called jurisdiction, if the court doesn't have it, they can't go in.
I don't have jurisdiction, saying.
How do you say?
It wasn't. Okay, was it that the guy didn't invoke it well?
They said, according to them, they did not properly invoke. When you don't properly invoke, it's taking as though
is it a technical matter?
It's not as straightforward. It could be technical. It could be that you should go to a different forum to litigate the matter, or that you didn't even have capacity.
Maybe we should see the
yeah, I've not read it. I've not read it.
A lot of messages on this that clear part, and then I'll give you some information that I picked up from a very, very experienced source on this matter.
Oh my God. So Caleb, can you...
Bernard and team, a lot of the children and women we see on our streets begging are not Ghanaians. A significant number of them are from Niger. They don't speak any Ghanaian language. It is my understanding that they are brought here to fulfill religious obligations. They serve some imams. They go to render accounts of proceeds at the close of day to their imams. Someone told me that they have a base in Nima. Eddie sent that through. And then there's this one says, this is Captain Ajenim Boating. Following up on your discussion this morning, I'd like to draw your attention to a new form of begging I refer to as medical begging. In this approach, individuals bring a public address PA system to the roadside, often accompanied by a sick person, and openly discuss the individual's medical condition while seeking financial support from passers-by. They typically move from one location to another, repeating the process.
The headquarters of that venture is Toyota Ghana. Yeah. The front part of it.
The situation along TT Brothers Bone Stretch is no different. Just last week, Friday, around 3:30 p.m., while stuck in traffic, I had 5 children literally chasing after my car, banging on the windows and refusing to back off until I reached the runabout and took the third exit towards Michelle Camp. One of them even attempted to open my door. It was a deeply unsettling experience. Priscilla from the University of Ghana sent that one through. There are more comments. This one says, okay, so Niger is no longer a member of ECOWAS, so are they entitled to the free movement protocol? For those of us who continue giving arms to the beggars, we need to discontinue. Begging has become a lucrative business, you say. Good morning, Bernard. What Godfred is saying is true. I once witnessed a couple of them at Elwak and the second at Jowlu around Fiesta. An able person conveyed them in a boat and dropped them off at various points. Selam Ativo from Community 23. Godfred is telling the truth. It's a historical fact. They are slaves who are brought in and brought in to render accounts. I'm a doctor, and we've had instances where cars knock them down and they are brought in for surgery. The social issues surrounding this is appalling. Good morning, Bernard. The begging thing is a whole syndicate. Some malams in various mosques in Muslim communities go to Niger to bring these kids and give them to the adults who are here to supervise. At the end of the month, send them some percentage of money to their parents back home. Portia from Hacho sent that. Good morning, City team. If you want to see how bad this is, visit Medina Mosque in the morning and other major mosques. We have sat down and these foreigners are coming. Okay.
Let me read a few more.
Yes.
Boss Bernard, listen to your colleagues concerning the Niger situation invading Ghana. Please, Niger is no more part of ECOWAS. Let these citizens go to the Sahel region. Please, we are tired with these guys crossing our roads, begging us, forcing us to give arms. Foreigners are increasing our population anyhow. Ghanaian men aren't giving birth anyhow in the country. Our immigration is reformed.
This person is very angry.
Please, our borders at Aflao,
Angry, hostile Ghanaian.
Bedu Ho, is that the name? Betue, Ho, and Asikuma, Sogakope, and Aflao should be blamed. So many unapproved roads in the Volta region. Afia Denigba, Joje, footpaths, Betue, Jalele, Ziope, all of these places are porous. Please, we need to stop this. He asked some words, choice words I can't add. Very, very angry indeed.
Yeah. Let me give you some information. So, in trying to better understand this and the discussion, some people have reached out to us. We have also reached out to some people who have basically dealt with this for the past decade, here and other places. So what I've picked up is that basically we are looking at a tribe of beggars.
A tribe?
Yes, from Niger called the Bozos.
Okay.
Hey.
And basically they are generational beggars.
Serious?
Yes. So, and they are migratory. Now, the dream destinations are Accra, northern Nigeria, Kumasi. The ultimate is Abidjan.
Wow.
Yes. But the two big ones would be Accra and Abidjan. So I guess the increasing numbers we are seeing here indicates that, Accra really is a dream destination. The Kumasi issue also by Hafiz's report tells us that Kumasi, but Abidjan, from what I've been told, is it. But the Ivorians recognized this and decided that they want to make their city a dream destination. So they clamped down in a very, very tough manner. And this has stemmed the problem in the streets of Abidjan. It hasn't completely ended it, but it has stemmed it. So basically what the Ivorians did is, if they see you, they will arrest you. If they arrest you? Yes. If they arrest you, they are dumping you at the Nigerian embassy.
Hey, just like that.
Yeah. They will take you straight back there to the Nigerian embassy.
So they catch you on the street, and they put you in a car, sent to the Nigerian embassy.
They are not wasting any time. If they see you, they are catching you. You see, how did they get where?
Inside the embassy.
So they are dealing with the problem from the
frontally.
Bernard raised the matter of why not surcharge the Nigerians for transportation back. So basically, they made
so the
their
just return them to the
embassy there.
That you do what?
So you are making them uncomfortable.
So they send them in droves.
Oh yes,
that's
not even just necessarily in droves. If they see you one, they will catch you and send you there.
Hey.
You see, and that has stemmed the Abidjan problem for them. Okay, now in how to solve the problem, for instance, and
to corroborate what you said before you go, somebody said, Bernard, I moved through Togo and Benin. I didn't see any begging activities because the government has banned these actions because they cause accidents and act as informants. Yeah. Why are we always acting as if we are holier than thou when it comes to making our cities unworthy? This is from Nana Amasaman.
Criminalizing it.
That's what he's saying.
But
so Benin and Togo don't allow this. Abidjan put them back in the embassy. But Ghana is welcome for everybody.
Yes. Now, I asked the question of reciprocity because Sky raised that matter when we're discussing it, that on the matter of their withdrawal from ECOWAS, are the protocols still in place and whatnot? And he said, no. It's a very fair point Sky has made, that you could decide to, but here's the thing. Because Niger at the moment has gone a bit rogue, you also don't want to see what they do in terms of reciprocity. You might be sending beggars. They might decide to do something else. So that is a matter that we will leave to those who are skilled to deal with when it comes to that.
But does he recommend the Ivorian approach?
Yes. Basically, he says that we need to, our local authorities and the law need to make this very unattractive.
So
and
send
also,
them to the embassy.
Yeah, when you see them, arrest them. Simple. Make it unattractive.
Get parents and children together.
Catch them and send them there. Make it punitive. And by that, the local assemblies need to get to work. And also have a conversation with the mosques. You know, a lot of the messages that came in and the education we have received indicates that the very nature of the religion means
because one of the pillars of Islam is alms giving. Sometimes people give alms to a point where we don't let people who beg be responsible.
Yes, and there's and it also becomes a convergent point. So I always say, like, if you go to the Greater Accra Mosque here, that is where you find most of them very early. That is where they take their bath. That is where they find food in the morning. So have a conversation with the Muslim leaders on responsible zakat giving.
Correct.
Responsible performance of zakat.
Yeah.
And then they can also go back into their communities and then talk to them that, look, these things have repercussions. So these are some of the proposals.
I even think the social welfare department can have a program where they use these mosques to also educate the parents.
Yeah, I mean, you know,
there has to be some social whatever, trying to talk to them or something beyond the catching them and sending them.
Yeah, of course.
Because it feels very draconian to me, though.
Yeah.
Because you know how we see in other countries the way they refer to foreigners, like the way the US is trying to say, if they see you and they say you need to hold your passport, whatever. It rubs off wrongly. But the truth is that you cannot let people just come into your country and do anything. But if they are not, if particularly they are using children to do it.
And there's a message here that I think is instructive for one of our colleagues. She says that Zoe, who also has done significant work on this over the years for Citi and ChannelOne, says that I reached out to the Nigerian embassy at the time that she was doing her report, and they said it was going to cost them a lot of money to repatriate these persons. They are so I think the cost is there, but I think it is the making them uncomfortable strategy from Abidjan, you see, because you spoke about how they open the door. The embassy has a responsibility to its citizens. You see, if I show up at a Ghanaian embassy at the door,
they have to accept
and I say I prove that I am Ghanaian, and I say I'm Ghanaian, they even have to verify. So somebody has to talk to me first.
Yeah, in the meantime, you have to determine whether.
No, so let us make them uncomfortable. We know where the Nigerians
I don't know
How did
what
Ivorians
happened.
do
I'm
it?
just saying
Them
that in international law circles, you can't repatriate a person to a country that he's not from. I mean, that's
Yes,
the
so
basic rule is that.
So the Nigerians
They have not said that
Unless
they are not.
so the Nigerians should give us
When you knock on the door and they say, Madam,
Let me stop you.
You're
Guys.
not-
We are not even there. Sky, nobody has denied where he's from. The same way
the
Ivorian.
Ghanaians are denying that they are from Ghana. When Trump wants to deport them, he say, I'm not from Ghana.
Where are you from?
From South Africa. The South Africans will say we don't know him. So where are you going to say it? You are the guy look at there.
but we must make it unattractive.
Yeah,
And I
it's
think
a serious matter.
we can start that by the arrest. You see, for me, I want to see some action today.
Yeah. Social
Not
welfare.
tomorrow,
Ministry
today.
of Social welfare, Ministry of Gender, Immigration. I think are the three big ones.
Yeah.
Let me do a quick one. So
Okay.
I just,
there is a coalition
Hey, there's a coalition.
called Street Children Empowerment Foundation, headed by Dr. Ernestina Tete.
Okay.
I'm told they have ideas on a joint strategy to deal with this. The coalition is called the Coalition of Street Connected Children Organizations.
Okay.
So there's a coalition of street connected organizations who say there's a national strategic plan on this, which was launched last month.
To remove.
Yeah.
They should implement it today.
Wait.
They should implement it now.
So there's a national strategic plan on this launched last month. So I'm going to talk to Ernestina, Dr. Ernestina. I think the name is Tete.
Yes.
To give me some context. Dr. Tete, sorry I just called you out of the blue, but good morning.
Good morning, Bernard.
Did I get your name right? Is it Dr. Ernestina Tete?
Yes, Dr. Ernestina Tete. Yeah.
And you are speaking for the Coalition of Street
Of
Connected
Street-Connected
Children Organizations.
Yes, please.
Hey,
Yes.
how many organizations do we have in that coalition?
So thank you so much, Bernard, and good morning to your listeners. So there are so many. There are a number of organizations, but the number of organizations that form the CSCC, the Coalition for Street Connected Children, are 10. There are 7 of them are based in Accra, and 3 are based in Kumasi, 2 in Kumasi and 1 in Tamale. And those in Accra also have work in Kumasi and some work in Tamale. And these are various organizations that have worked with street-connected children for spanning decades. The oldest have worked for there are 3 of them that have worked for over 25 years on street-connected children in Ghana. And we came together after a research so as you can see, I'm an academic, so I don't head or own an organization. I conducted a research. I work on street children, so I conducted a research among these organizations, and I realized that there was no umbrella body. There had been attempts. There was no umbrella body that is pushing the agenda on street children. So we came together after the interview. They were very much interested. So we came together to form this coalition, and we have worked with the Department of Social Welfare. And as you rightly said, there is a 5-year strategic plan, which the social welfare had been working on for a number of years, and it was going back and forth. And we approached them and said, you know what, we have the expertise, just give it to us and let's do this. So we spent several hours do the 5-year strategic plan, which covers every aspect. We have 10 objectives, which covers every aspect of the lives of street-connected children, both for Ghanaian nationals and foreign nationals. And it was finally launched last year, July. And this year, we have made a paid a courtesy call on the new director for social welfare, the acting director, to ask what the way forward is, because the problem keeps escalating, and we haven't had any.
So before I get you to talk about what you've done and the strategy, I want to be sure we are on the same page in relation to the problem and how it has manifested. Basically, it appears that the problem is getting worse, and now there are foreign children being transported. We feel like it's an organized problem. It's no longer spontaneous. What can you tell me about maybe what the last 5-4 years have shown? What is the source country? How does it? Why is it getting worse? Just give me more insight into this problem.
So, Bernard, as you know, statistics are really hard to come by, no matter how hard we try. Only that we know that it's growing in magnitude. As this morning, I don't know who was saying it when he said he sells 600 children. Yeah, you see them. And it's been growing. And it's usually from Chad and Niger. And these have been with us since I was a child. That's what we used to call Salaka, you know. But then the issue has become, as you said, we also know, we just don't have the evidence that it's organized. There's a whole syndicate that works with these children. We got wind of this about 3 years ago in our discussions that this is what we see. We just don't have the evidence to say that this is true. But members have seen hints and signs of it where people have brought a car to a vehicle to deliver children. I forgive the word. And then they do this, but we just don't have the evidence. And some of our members had raised these issues with the social welfare. But it looked like the social welfare had also got the evidence, and whether it was lack of capacity or resources to gather the evidence. So this is ongoing. At least we got wind of it about 3 years ago that it's organized begging involving children has been ongoing, and it's not just the children. So if you attempt to even get the children off, talk to them one-on-one, they won't come with you. Just tell them, "Oh, come with me." And no, they don't want to come with you because they are the older. Sometimes you see older people sitting somewhere in the corner, eyeing them. When you are in your car and you see a child, "Oh, Brian Kofi," no, he won't mind you. You know, so we know this, and we know it's growing in magnitude, and the numbers are increasing.
Second question. What has our strategy been in the past? This is before this 5-year thing. What have we tried to do? I'm asking this because Godfred was telling me now that other West African countries have used some methods which appears to have worked. For example, I'm told the Ivorian authorities, now when they see you, they basically bundle you to the embassy of Niger and they have to find something to do. I'm told Togo and Benin as well are less tolerant. So what has Ghana tried to do in the past few years, and why hasn't it worked?
So Ghana has tried to work, at least in the last 2 years that we were working on the strategic plan. What our engagement with the Social Welfare Department revealed that Ghana had worked with some embassies. So with foreign donor funded, they got funding to work with some embassies to take their nationals away. That was the approach. So there was an engagement, there was consultation, discussions, and then they scooped some of the children, sent them away, but they made their way back. And you know how donor-funded projects end. Once it ends, it's not sustained. So once the first attempt was done and then it wasn't continued, we're back to where we started from. So it's really a very, I don't want to use knee-jerk, but it's a very reactionary. So they have been increasing in numbers. It's a security threat. Let's do something about it. So we bundle them, send them, and then they are back. Even with the internal ones, we bundle them, send them back, and then they come back. There's no strategy to prevent them from coming back.
Hence the need for a strategic plan. Hence the need for a strategic plan. Wonderful. Now, which are the duty bearers that the plan identifies as being key in solving this problem?
So the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection is the mother or host institution. Then the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, especially where it involves the foreign nationals. The Ministry of National Security. So these were the three key ministries that, and of course finance, because if it involves finance, it has to be, if there's a budget, it has to be funded. But the three key ministries were the Ministry of Gender, Social Security, and then Foreign Affairs and Interior. These are the four that we identified in the strategic plan that have to work together to help address or curb the influx of the foreign nationals and then deal with those who are here, address the issue of the syndicates or the planned activity that is going on. Yeah.
So from what you've said, it looks like there are two legs to this: stemming the inflow from outside and then doing something about those who are on the streets.
That has been our campaign, that you have to stem the tide and then you have to deal with those who are here, because the argument in the past has been, okay, when you find something, when you address the challenges of children on the street, it becomes attractive and more children will want to come on the street, because if I'll find housing, I'll find employment, I'll find protection once I'm on the street, people are going to come. More children are going to come. So it has to be the two have to work hand in hand. While you address the challenges of children who are on the street, you also work And that is larger than any one ministry, because we are talking about poverty alleviation issues, because that is the main cause from research over the years, that the main cause for them coming on the street from wherever is poverty. Then there's the issue of abuse, and then on a very low scale, children being curious and all that. So working on the two-pronged approach has to be addressing the challenges of children on the street, but also issues of poverty alleviation and other plans that will keep children from coming onto the street. And if we don't do that, we reduce the numbers, and then the more will come. Because as I told you, Bernard, there are organizations that have been working for almost 30 years. So they have worked with hundreds and thousands of street children, reintegrated some into their families. But how come the numbers are increasing? So we can't tackle one side without taking care of the other. It has to be the two. The two legs have to be taken care of concurrently.
But does the strategy also suggest or contemplate repatriation, either in the form the Ivorians do, i.e. send, and because don't forget, we've admitted that the influx of foreigners has worsened the problem. So we are not saying it's only foreigners who are on our streets.
No.
But
And our nationals are more. Our nationals are in the majority.
Obviously. But
Yeah.
the nature of the foreign engagement is what is causing the public nuisance, because they are organized in specific places.
Exactly,
And
exactly.
the sanitation challenges and all of that. So a lot of
Yeah.
people are very concerned about that one. And so
Yeah.
does the strategy contemplate, or do you personally think that something as drastic as what the Ivorians do should work, should be considered? Because if you want to let the Nigerian authorities take responsibility, then maybe they need to begin to feel the effect of the numbers, because they are comfortable. They have left
Right.
ECOWAS, their children are on our streets,
Yeah.
and essentially we are not doing anything about it. So I know you are working in, of course you are an academic, working in civil society groups, and so there's always this humanitarian, let's work with the heart. But there must also be enforcement and must be law and order. So if the government, for example, said for the next 3 weeks we are going to bundle all the children we see and their parents to the Nigerian embassy, would the coalition say, no, that's bad, their human rights are being violated, so don't do it?
Oh, of course, something drastic has to be done. My challenge, I know we can also do this with a heart. My challenge is sustaining this. My challenge is seeing it through. We attempted in the past, and we didn't see it through, and it came back to us. So even if we want to do something strategic, it has to be drastic. It still has to be thought through. But if we start and then we end like we always do, it's going to come back bigger, because then they realize our threats are empty or our actions are empty. They can always find their way to get back here. So even if we want to go on that drastic tangent, we still have to think through it and have a plan to sustain it and see it through to the end. Otherwise, we will be back here and it will be bigger in our face. That's what we think.
Finally, the Department of Social Welfare has been missing in all of this, at least from where I sit. You've mentioned the three duty bearers, the ministry, and of course the ministry supervises the department.
Yes.
But what do you know of the department? Is it that they don't have resources? Is it that they are tired? Because I hardly hear of the Department of Social Welfare. And for a country with such many social problems, and with such a free media and open talking, I don't even know who leads this department. I don't know who their PRO is. I have no idea I don't even know where they are located.
Yes.
Is it me that's not pushing enough, or maybe somebody needs to pull them out of their hole?
Hopefully, the Department of Social Welfare is, I think they are overstretched, because they are look at the issue. Even this issue of street children being discussed this morning is huge, and it's one of the many things that they have to take care of. And with the Blue Array, the issue of resources is a challenge, resources, capacity, and that's what we have seen, working resources to follow through, because most of the activities are donor funded. UNICEF, even the launching the strategic plan had to be funded. Catholic Relief Services had to fund the launch, just the launch. So you can imagine what it takes to do implementation, and they don't have it. So there is the issue of resources, and then the capacity, numerical strength of the department, and then the capacity to handle issues as tactical as this one. So yes, you are right. And that's what I can say, Bernard. So we have to look at that department, especially, in fact, that whole ministry, because I say that the ministry takes care of all of us. Every Ghanaian is in that ministry. You just haven't happened to be at that point of vulnerability yet, But that is the ministry that has the least funding.
Look, thank you. Yeah, I agree with you. So we need to sort of push the ministry, but also help them in a way, right?
Exactly.
They don't have enough resources, so we need to support them, but also need to push them to do more.
Spot on, Bernard.
Thank you.
Yes.
You spoke to us without prompting, so I will leave you before you say something that will put you in trouble. So,
I know, right? Thank you.
So let me leave it here. Thank you very much, Dr. Ernestina Koleki-Tete. Now, what is she? She did a research on the street connected children and then found out that there were lots of organizations in that space. So she asked them to come together to form a coalition. And I think this coalition approach has worked for many things. Right Information, there was a coalition. Galamsey, there's a coalition. And usually in Ghana, coalitions are more sustainable because they sort of bring together different bodies aimed at the same thing. So it's a good thing she championed. So now the coalition is working, and sort of I spoke to her because the person who connected with me knew that she was part of the convening. So she's not really working in civil society, she's a lecturer. But I think it's been a very good insight. Sky, let me wrap up this with you.
Just want to say quickly that so some colleagues have forwarded to me the judgment of the Supreme Court on the matter.
How many pages?
Pretty lengthy.
It's a lot.
Yeah, but just to mention,
do they do executive summary for judgment?
In the UK, normally they issue press statements on
they should do that.
A brief summary for the
they
press.
are long,
but unfortunately, we don't have that in our case. I've been talking about it that we need to do that.
I'm available.
You should be summarizing it.
I'll take that contract if they are willing. The judicial service will contact me.
But legal writing is especially
it's just about distilling the effect of the case.
Because legal, when I read law things, my mind closes.
Yeah, but this one is for journalists.
I'm with you.
It's wild, though. It's wild.
My brain is wired for this one.
Good man. I'm sure we'll pursue that interest. There's something happening, I'm sure.
So what did they say?
So this was in the case of Child Rights International versus the Attorney General. This was in 2024. Decision was made in that year. The ratio basically is that the plaintiff failed to demonstrate a proper invocation of the court's original jurisdiction under Articles 2.1 and 1.301 of the Constitution, because the provisions cited were not ambiguous. In other words, the provisions are clear, so you cannot come and invoke the court's interpretative jurisdiction.
So he probably should have built the thing, a foundation have been properly built.
And that the relief sought were not justiciable under the jurisdiction that he was coming under. And then also the court's reasoning, basically that it reiterated that under Articles 2.1 and 1.3.0, the provisions are triggered only where the constitutional provisions in question are imprecise, ambiguous, or give rise to conflicting interpretations. They buttressed the decision.
But I thought it was something about the enforcement. If they feel like, so it wasn't interpretative they were going for. They were asking them to enforce something.
So it's two pronged. So both what do you call it? Who is this calling?
So because you've told me before that Supreme Court can do it. They can interpret a provision, or they can also
enforcement, depending on the nature.
So I think he was going on enforcement.
I think there's interpretation there. I've not read the full judgment, but I'm just distilling for you the core elements for it. And then also the court said that since Article 28 and other provisions cited, including 13, 15, 35, 37 were clear, precise and unambiguous, the plaintiff had not established any controversy or interpretational conflict. So there ought to have been controversy or interpretational conflict as to give rise to invocation.
So if for example, he had said, I've told social welfare for 10 years to do this, and social welfare says that based on our mandate, we don't think that this is what we are supposed to do. Then you can say, well, based on the constitution that sets you up, you are supposed to do it. Then that controversy could have led to Supreme Court to explain. But we haven't even gotten there yet.
Yeah, even that, unless it's rooted in the constitution.
That's what I'm saying. Yes. So if somebody has a constitutional duty to perform,
that's right.
And you think they are supposed to perform it and they are not, and they claim that their understanding of their role per the constitution does not give them that responsibility.
And there's that conflict.
Then you go to Supreme Court to say, interpret that they have to do it, and then tell them that you have to do it.
Exactly.
So they couldn't reach there with this kind of thing.
Let me mention three other things. So on the directive, so they also invoked, the directive principles
of state policy, chapter 6,
and justiciability. And according to the court, in summarizing, the plaintiff relied heavily on the directive principles of state policy, particularly Article 35.4. Now, the court clarified that while some provisions in chapter 6 may be justiciable, this depends on whether the particular provision lends itself to judicial enforcement.
I get that.
Now, in this case, the plaintiff failed to demonstrate that the provisions invoked, particularly Article 35(4), could support direct legal compulsion against the state, because they were suing the Attorney General.
The state should take action.
Exactly, on these people. And then also two other things: lack of specificity and proper parties. Now, the court observed that Parliament has already enacted laws, including the Children's Act 1998, Act 560, the Criminal Offences Act, Local Governance Act, and thereby has fulfilled its obligations under Article 28 of the Constitution. And then also the plaintiff's core complaint was against failures of implementation.
Correct.
By local and statutory bodies such as district assemblies and the social welfare department.
Correct.
However, the plaintiff did not sue those implementing agencies,
So
but instead sued the Attorney
General.
General.
It's a legal problem.
Exactly. So he ought, or the body ought to have gone to the High Court
to say that social welfare, you're not doing your work.
Exactly.
District assembly, you're not doing your work.
Exactly.
I'm suing you to do your work. If their defense is something, then you can move it to the next level of court.
So the court says that appropriate remedy would have been to sue the specific public institutions in the High Court for non-compliance with their statutory mandates, supported by evidence of failure.
Wow.
And then finally, no proof of constitutional breach. Now, although the court acknowledged that there is genuine plight facing the street children we have in the streets, the plaintiff had not demonstrated how any specific action or omission violated the constitutional provision cited.
This is quite refreshing. But so, Sky, this is last year.
Yeah.
I think a couple of things we need to check whether child's rights have gone back.
Okay, in this time.
That's number one. Number two, now that we know that it's a coalition, maybe they should join forces with the coalition to think of a more broad-based response to this, which would include, if legal action is needed, yes, probably, as you said, as a High Court, to sue maybe social welfare department for a specific matter, and then also to now also initiate some sort of if they need new laws, if for example they find out that there aren't stringent enough laws to deal with this, they may also push for new laws to make this more, do you understand me?
Yeah, biting.
Then of course, if they have to do some social intervention like the ones that we're asking the mosques to do, the coalition. But I want to encourage the coalition that, this issue came up. We didn't plan this at all. As you know, Godfrey came in and started complaining about it. I didn't even know it was such a major problem until you also corroborated it. So what I'll say to the coalition is that use this show as like a starting point for something more broad-based. Definitely have a conversation with child rights to see how you can work together. Number two, you can even speak to the parliamentary committee. All right, I suggest that, which committee will be this?
Well, the Committee on Children.
Exactly. I think they should go and talk to the committee and say, look, we've been trying to do this.
Will be there. Maybe Foreign Affairs.
Do a hearing with the committee or the three committees and say, look, we want to have a conversation about what we can jointly do on this matter. Do you think the laws are tight enough, or do you think we need new laws?
Enforcement is a problem.
Then in terms of enforcement, what do? You have to work with the minister. Because as the lady I interviewed said, the minister needs to be pushed to get the social welfare people to act. Although the ministry's budget is very small, that does not mean they can't do a lot. So Minister for Gender, Children and Social Protection, this is right back in your alley, right? You basically need to, you need to convene a conversation. So initiate some action, as Godfrey said. Go to this place and at least move the people to some place. If it will be the Nigerian embassy or even to social welfare department. Take some action that will get national attention. And based on the national attention you get, you can start a conversation. Because as things stand now, if you don't do anything to rock the boat, people will not take it seriously.
And then also the authorities would need to be creative. I understand the budgetary limitations. The ministry doesn't get so much. For the strategic role it plays in our national life, it should be getting a lot more. But the folks within the space would need to be financially creative by tapping into all these foreign funding sources that are there to deal with specific problems like this. Because streetism is a big issue. Issues concerning the rights of kids. These are matters that foreign funding, deals with a lot more of the time. So perhaps, we need, consultants within the space to craft compelling, how do they even call it, proposals to get these, funding sources.
Somebody said they should have gone for mandamus, but maybe we will discuss the legal side later. Caleb, who have you called for me?
So Bernard, we have the acting director of the Department of Social Welfare.
Hi.
I mean, he's been there, and it's been a short period since he was.
So he's
there.
a new director.
Yes, he's a new director.
What's his name?
Acting
Dr.
director.
Prince
Boama Abra.
Wonderful. Doc, thanks for joining us. Again, we didn't give you prior notice, so we've called you into a live radio show. So answer the questions as best as you can. Thank you for joining us. Good morning. Hello, Doc. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
So how long have you been at the department?
Okay, so I've been at the department since, I think, October, yeah. Since last October, yeah.
What is the staff strength of the department? And just give me a sense of where the department is. Are you just in Accra? Are you in every district? Are you in every region? How?
At the national level, yeah.
So what do you mean?
You say where am I? I said at the
No, not you.
level.
I'm saying is the DSW. Is it in every district, for example?
Yes, it's across the district. We have social welfare officers across the district.
How many staff do you have?
The regions across the district at the national level.
I see. So roughly how many staff do you work with?
Oh, in terms of the head office or social welfare in general.
General social welfare department across the country.
Well, I don't have the statistics in mind. Yeah.
But you are in every district, so at least 251 people.
That's why I say I can't give you the statistics.
No, I know. I'm just. You see, I'm not trying to put you on the spot. I know. We are just be patient with me. I'm trying to understand the way the organization is structured. So even if you can't give me a specific answer about how many people you have, if you are in each district, it presupposes that there's at least one official per district.
Exactly.
So don't take the question wrongly. I'm not here to disgrace you. I'm trying to understand your organization so I can know how to question you. So please don't misunderstand me. Now, what is your primary source of funding?
From government and donor.
And
also internal IGF, yeah.
I see. So are your responsibilities clearly spelled out in any law? So, for example, is it the ministry that directs you as to what to do, or there's like a law that establishes a department that spells out your responsibilities?
Yeah, we have a legal framework. We have the Constitution, we have the Children's Act, all this act spells out our mandate in terms of what you do relating to child protection when child welfare issues. So we have a regulatory framework, yeah, that outlines what you do.
So based on your understanding, what are the maybe top 2 or 3 things you are responsible for as a department?
Okay, I think you called me and you said you wanted to talk on issues of...
Yes, but I need to build the foundation. Mr. Dr. Dinchi, Dr. Boama, you need to understand please thank you for your forbearance. What I'm trying to say is that I cannot specifically interview you on a running issue if I don't have a full context of what you are responsible for. So I am actually trying to help you by asking you these questions. So if you just be patient and try, I don't even know why you are suspicious of what I'm asking you. I just want to know if, for example, you are specifically the one I should even be questioning on street children from Niger. Do you understand me? Which is why I'm asking you, what is your understanding of your mandate? It's a very simple question. I don't see how you should be remonstrating over this question. Are you there?
Yes, I'm there.
Yeah, so I'm saying that what is your understanding of the department's responsibility or role?
In terms of?
What is your mandate? What is the Department of Social Welfare responsible for? Well, look, we shouldn't take these things because you see, I don't need to I can write a letter to you and interview you. But you see, public officials need to know that in a country that is trying to build a society, if you are the head of the Department of Social Welfare, you're answerable to the public. I have not asked you a specific question about something happening. Are you telling me that being the Director General of the Social Welfare Department since October, you cannot tell me what your mandate is? I mean, what is this?
I don't even want to go there. I don't want to make him the subject of
and
this
this is what happens. People want to use media to hide as if we have an agenda. If you've listened to this program from 6 o'clock, I've called you to ask you a simple question. What is your mandate? Then you cut the line.
Because
And you are
probably
paid
feels-
with taxpayers' money.
Probably feels you're
I
trying to-
call no. See,
maybe the line drop.
oh
Maybe the
please.
line drop.
I called a lecturer who has done research on streetism. I didn't give her prior notice. Is it every day that we can plan what to do? Didn't she answer the question as best as she could?
Let's move on.
Oh, come on.
Let me read messages for
You see,
you.
no, I'm coming. You see, because these same people will come to you next week and tell you that, oh, they are doing a program next week. Media is not supporting them. How does media support when you put up such a behavior?
He wants media support on his own terms.
No, you see, it's public service is not by force. If you've been given a job to do, it comes with the territory. It comes with the territory. You can't pick and choose when to engage. You are a public servant. So you cannot decide that, well, I don't feel like talking to you, or you've called me out of the blue. Fine, you may be in a meeting. But this is a national discussion. You cannot do that. You cannot do that. It's completely wrong.
You have a break.
Yeah.
So you take a break now.
No, I won't.
Who says you take the
and you see,
break?
Godfrey, I've done this work for long. You know me. I have never tried to put people on air to disgrace them. But you cannot tell me that somebody who has a department, even if I haven't called you, Godfrey, this is a show many people listen to. We have been discussing this since 6:20. Are you telling me that his communication officer did not hear that we're discussing streetism since 6:20?
Does he have one?
That they don't know that, okay, even their media monitoring team does not know that there's a big discussion about street children on air, that they can even make a contribution.
Do they have some?
Come on. You see, this is why we are not able to solve problems.
I know.
I think the minister should give him a call. No, seriously.
So Bernard,
I mean, it's not right to do such a thing. It's not, and it's not me who's doing it too, because me, I'm not anybody. It's the listeners is respected, not me.
So Bernard, like you rightly
Please.
said when we spoke to the first doctor, we called her in the midst of the conversation, and
So just tell me that you can't talk. Why do you come on air and cut the line?
No, but Bernard, you see, when I spoke to him, his point was that he needed time.
Yeah, so should have
prepare
just
for
told me
the
that he needed
interview.
time.
No, Bernard, please calm down.
no, it's not right. It's
Bernard,
not
let
fair.
me explain small. Please,
Once you agree to do the interview,
You see, Bernard,
you don't
you see-
stop the interview in the middle on the basis that I've asked you what's your mandate.
I agree.
I didn't ask you.
Bernard, I agree.
But now you stealing
But
money.
what is your mandate? Is that a difficult question?
Bernard, I agree. But you see, not
Oh, come on.
everyone also has that
Oh,
kind
please.
of.
You see, we have a country to we have a country to develop, and I'm not blaming him that he should be. I'm saying
Yes.
that there's a way of doing it. You can say that, gentlemen, I am not ready to talk to you on air today. Talk to me tomorrow. Simple. But don't agree to do an interview and ask you a simple question and you go off. What's the point of doing
He
that?
just had a suspicious man. Leave him be. Charlie, let's take the break. We'll be back. We have more messages.
And that doesn't solve the problem. Problem is still there. We are trying to deal with it. Apologies to listeners for that unorthodox end to the interview. So we really apologize for that. Sometimes we try to pre-produce everything, but based on the nature of the program, it's not always possible. So we really apologize for this. Hopefully we can make peace with the department and then get a more well-structured conversation. So it's our responsibility to do this. So we'll probably write to them.
Help them. They should do their job.
We'll write to them to say, but their job includes informing the public because it's a public problem. So maybe we'll write a letter to them and say, we want to come and do an interview, and these are the questions we'll ask you. So you come and answer. We can try that too.
Let me give you messages.
Yeah, let's get some messages.
All right, quickly, Bernard. Good morning, Ben. I moved to Togo and Benin, and I didn't see so much of the begging activities because their governments have banned these actions. Why are we acting holier than thou when it's making our cities look bad? I tried to help a guy in a wheelchair near the TUC by giving him a job. He asked me if the pay could buy him the car that I was driving.
Nice.
Kofi Senanu is not very happy this morning. He's from Ashaiman and he says the Nigerian issue is a disturbing one and we must all show concern. Most of the Okada drivers in Ashaiman are from that area. Whenever I see these child beggars from Niger crossing peaceful passerby and asking for alms, I ask myself whether Ghana has a functioning social protection policy. It shows the picture of a country with paper laws. Something draconian has to be done with these beggars. Islam doesn't encourage irresponsible and forceful begging on the street. Yakubu Ibn Chambers. Good morning, CBS. This from Danny. The beggars tribe Aminata so far readily comes to mind. We need to involve the leadership of the Muslim community.
Yep.
Good morning, guys. It's increasingly okay. So, good morning, guys. Come to La Paz. The parents wait under the traffic light in front of Las Palmas restaurant. Then they unleash their children after passers-by. Interesting discussion. Begging is prohibited in Islam. So you don't see this in Islamic countries. The Prophet said, quote, "It is better for one of you to take his rope and go gather firewood than to beg. People who are in need know where to go. That's why you pay zakat." This is from Daniel.
That's an interesting interpretation.
On streetism, yesterday at the Fiesta Royale traffic light, a police sergeant drove away those boys who forcefully washed your windscreen from accosting a Range Rover, only for him to also greet the car owner very excitedly. Godfred, the Abidjan way of dealing with the beggars may seem okay, but how do you determine the nationality of the beggars when arrested? Also, when you arrest these beggars at Sunyani, who transports them to Accra where the embassies are? Eric from East. Well, Eric, if you listen to me, the people who have done this work will tell you there are key points, okay, which is why Abidjan was a destination, and Yamoussoukro is not a destination, which is why Accra and Kumasi are destinations, and Ho is not a destination. I hope you understand. These people have very specific places that they go to because those places must also have support systems in place for them. I hope you understand, Eric. Yes, which is why Abidjan dealt with the issue in Abidjan. Because, like I explained to you, Abidjan is the ultimate destination for that particular group. All right, thank you, Bernard. These are some of the
Okay.